All right, Marco is joining me ahead of, I want to say it, the biggest match of your career right now, the World Cup final up against New Zealand here in England. And we heard from the Kiwi camp just yesterday, and they were saying that, they're going to treat this as any other game, that old saying. What about for you guys? Do you let it sink in that this is a World Cup final?
It doesn't. Strangely, it doesn't feel any different at the minute. I'm sure tomorrow it will. It will do. But at the minute, we've prepared the same. It's the same bad jokes in the dressing room, same music, all that kind of thing. So everything feels relatively normal at the minute. But the semi-final felt a little bit different when we went out to field. So I'm sure this one will feel just the same when we get going tomorrow.
All right. Well, when we talk about the semi-final, just to go back on that since you brought it up against Australia, I mean, you might know somebody by the name of Graham Swan who's been working with us, and with all due respect, of course, he's quite the character, and he said that, in the first match against Australia, he thought England was a bit like kitty cats, and then he came out as full roaring lions in that match, and a lot basically commended the fact that England beat Australia properly. It was a proper beating, for that one. What was just the importance of a match like that over such a rival right ahead of this final?
Yeah, it was a huge game. I think probably the most important thing was that we started well. I thought the way that Jofra and Woxie set the tone at the start was just outstanding. Probably the best in terms of, because the match was so big. Look, the way they started was the best bit of opening spell bowling I've seen, because it was just such a big occasion. Warner hit the first ball for 4, and then you're thinking, oh, is it going to be one of those days? But the way that them two bounced back after just that one ball and were on it so much after that was just brilliant for us. The previous winners, Australia, who always do well in semi-finals and against England, the old enemy, it was brilliant for us to beat them and to give us a lot of confidence going into this match.
What do you think changed from that first clash against Australia between that time and the semi-final?
I think we didn't have a Sri Lanka hangover, I guess. The Sri Lankan game, I think, really hurt us. I think it knocked our confidence maybe a little bit, and it hurt a lot. And I think we had a little bit of carryover maybe into the Australia game here. Every time you play Australia at Lords as well, they seem to up that game. I think they really enjoy coming here. There's probably plenty of Australians on that away dressing room board. So to be able to play them at Edgbaston was a big lift for us. The crowd was right behind us. And I think the difference was that we were just in a different place as a team. We'd come off the back of wins against India and New Zealand, who are two really good teams, and we played really well. And we've carried that confidence forward into that game and now hopefully into tomorrow.
Well, coming into this tournament, England were ranked #1 in the world, so it's hard to not call you complete then. But then we've seen like the likes of Jofra Archer been included, and now people saying that, especially with the bat and seeing the form that Bairstow's in, and Jason Roy as well there at the top, and others pitching in even when Jason Roy wasn't there. Do you feel that this is a complete England team that you have right now?
Yes, because the lads that aren't playing could easily come in and do the job. I think that Moeen Ali has missed out. He might play tomorrow. We've got so there's another spin bowling option. We've got Tom Curran, another seamer. We've got good batters on the bench. Dawson's another guy. So I think all round as a team, I feel like we've got the balance right in case of who we want to bring in. I think everyone feels, or they certainly look like they're in good form. So hopefully we can take that forward. I would say we're well balanced is what I would say.
All right, well, let's talk about New Zealand now a little bit, because last time you played New Zealand, of course, Lady Luck did shine on you, probably because you were at your home ground.
Exactly.
In Durham, most beautiful ground,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And we saw that unfortunate run out, which you even said it was unfortunate for Kane Williamson. So I have to ask, where are your nails now? Did you let them grow? Are they like on the level of mine?
Not that quite that big, but I couldn't grow them that fast, you see. So
gotta take the vitamins.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've left them a little bit longer just in case. Obviously, it was lucky. What can I say? It was really lucky. But anyway, we can get him out because he's such a class player. I'll take that. And it might be lucky, but I'll take it again tomorrow if it happens again. So. Look, he's obviously one of the best players in the world. He's one of the best I've bowled at. We know how good a player he is. We know that New Zealand rely heavily on him. So that'll be a really important wicket for us to get tomorrow.
Well, speaking of New Zealand and just sticking with them, you definitely spoke about how much New Zealand do rely on them. But I feel like even from the start of the tournament, New Zealand has been a team that still floats under the radar. Nobody really reads too much into them. But here they are in back-to-back finals, and I still feel like they're still flying under the radar. I mean, our colleague Mel Farrell, she spoke with Mitch Santner yesterday, and he said, everyone's talking about how great it would be for England to win here at home. And he's like, look, it'd be great for us to win too. Like, everyone's almost forgetting us. So where do you think New Zealand is at their most threatening, or where do you think their strength lies?
I just think they're a really good team. They have great team togetherness. You can tell that on the field when you play against them. They always back each other up. Their fielding's outstanding. If you underestimate them at your peril, sort of thing. In a way, it's actually quite poetic that we're playing New Zealand in the final, because if you look where we've come from, 2015, our first series after that World Cup was New Zealand. We wanted to play a little bit like Brendan McCullum's New Zealand side. We're now playing in that manner. New Zealand are playing in that manner. And every time we've played a series against them, they've always been close games. It's never been a whitewash series or anything like that. It's always been like a 3-2 and a must-win game. So we know how dangerous they can be. They've got match winners throughout their team. And we know that we have to be on our best game. If we're on our best game, I'm sure we'll win.
All right, well, we know that there's a lot of people that have been using this word, and I'm sure you're pretty tired of hearing it, but pressure. Pressure, of course, from being the #1 team in the world, from playing at home, but yet here you guys are in the final. So is it that you just didn't pay attention to that word? Do you ever feel it genuinely? Because it seems like you are, for lack of a better description, I suppose, a well-oiled machine.
No, I think you do feel it. Look, I'm not going to lie to you and say, look, we're like robots. We just go out there and play. Like, obviously, you have your human emotions. I think the team that will play best in the final will be the team that keeps their emotions in check. We're well led. We've got a good captain who he's very level. He doesn't get too high when we win. He doesn't get too low when we lose. So having him at the helm sort of keeps you very level-headed and feet in the ground. So I'm sure we'll not be taking it lightly. And although there will be pressure, as long as we stick to the values that we've had over the last 4 years, I'm sure we'll do well.
And finally, probably the easiest question of them all, or the toughest, I have to ask you, is it coming home?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Hopefully it is coming home, yeah.
All right, well, there you have it. Thank you so much, Mark, for chatting with us. He says it will be coming home. Fingers crossed then for all the England faithful, football and cricket fans for this one, and all the best in this final.
Thank you very much. Cheers.